In a cloud of dust, the last remaining search crews leave Oak Park Station, hopes of finding a lost little boy gone.
It began as a breaking headline out of South Australia. A missing child in the outback, a massive search underway, and a family waiting for a miracle. Police confirmed that 4-year-old Gus Lamont had disappeared from his family's remote property near the township of Yah on the edge of the South Australian desert. The announcement was brief, clinical, the kind that flashes across screens and fades within hours. But this one didn't fade. By nightfall, rescue crews, helicopters, and volunteers had gathered at Oak Park Station, a property so isolated that the nearest town was over an hour's drive away. The air was cooling quickly, the desert was falling dark, and somewhere in that vast, silent land, a little boy was missing. The story began the same way most tragedies do, in a moment so ordinary that no one could have known it would change everything. Oak Park Station lies deep in the interior of South Australia, surrounded by endless stretches of red dust and dry grass. Families here live by the rhythm of the land, not the clock. They depend on each other, and when someone calls for help, there's no quick response, only distance and hope. For the Lamont family, Oak Park wasn't just home, it was legacy. Generations had lived and worked there, building a life against the quiet indifference of the desert. On September 23rd, the land was still and golden with afternoon light. Margaret Lamont, the family's matriarch, was folding laundry on the veranda, watching her grandson play in the dirt near the front of the homestead. Gus was bright-eyed, curious, and content, a little boy with a red toy truck, tracing lines through the dust as the sun began its slow descent beyond the horizon. Inside, his baby brother had just woken from a nap. Margaret stepped inside for only a moment, soothing the child, humming softly as the kettle clicked off. When she returned, the yard was empty. No sound, no movement, just the red earth and the toy truck lying half buried in the soil. She called his name, once, twice, louder each time, expecting to hear his laugh echo back, but there was only the wind. The gate to the yard was swinging slightly, creaking on its hinge, though she was certain she had latched it earlier. In that moment, Margaret said later, the silence felt wrong, not peaceful, but heavy, as if the land itself were holding its breath. When police arrived, there was little to see. The ground showed no sign of struggle or footprints leading away. The fences were intact. The dogs hadn't barked. It was as though the boy had simply vanished. By morning, a search perimeter was established, and 100 pairs of boots began combing through the scrub. Then, a breakthrough, or what seemed like one. A single child's footprint, found roughly 500 meters north of the homestead. It was small, shallow, and matched the shoes Gus had been wearing. But it was alone. No trail followed it. No other prints in that direction. The trackers said the soil should have held more, but the wind had already done its work. That single footprint became the center of the investigation, a ghost of movement in a land that gives nothing away. Over the next days, the search grew. Volunteers came from neighboring stations, from towns hours away. Drones scanned the land, helicopters circled above with heat sensors. On the ground, searchers formed tight grids, walking shoulder to shoulder through heat and dust. But by the 9th day, nothing new had been found. The official report called it a comprehensive search yielding no result. Still, investigators refused to close the case. They began piecing together the timeline, searching for inconsistencies. That's when one small detail from Margaret's account caught their attention. A sound she'd heard earlier that afternoon, a faint motorbike engine somewhere beyond the property line. She couldn't say how close it was or when it passed. She had assumed it was a neighbor or a station worker on patrol. But out here, neighbors are hours apart. Police checked. No one nearby had been riding that day. No tire tracks were found, no reports of travelers passing through. The sound, faint as it was, became a point of speculation, a whisper of possibility in a case built entirely on silence. To this day, investigators say the disappearance of Gus Lamont remains one of the most confounding mysteries in South Australia. There were no signs of animal attack, no suggestion of foul play, no confirmed sightings. Just the faint memory of an engine, a swinging gate, and a grandmother's final glimpse of a child at play. The official narrative ends there, with a question mark in the dust. But for Margaret, it never ends. Every day since, she has looked out from that same veranda and imagined the sound of her grandson's voice carried on the wind. She says the land still feels different now, quieter, as if it remembers. There are places in the world where silence holds power. The South Australian outback is one of them. It keeps secrets well. Too well, perhaps. But secrets don't stay buried forever. For now, the Lamont family continues to wait for an answer, a clue, a sign that might bring Gus home. And as long as his name is spoken, the search continues. Because somewhere beyond the fences of Oak Park Station, beneath the same endless sky, lies the truth about what really happened on the day the desert fell silent.